Alright, listen up. On June 13th, 9 AM Pacific Time, 1 hour before the Xbox Game Showcase, I will be live streaming here on YouTube. We'll watch the previous Infinite trailers, discuss it, get hyped, and then watch the showcase together. So if you're interested, make sure to join my live stream 1 hour before the showcase. That is June 13th, 9 AM Pacific Time. Thank you. Now on with the video. The Covenant are truly alien. Weapons such as the Needler and the Energy Sword wouldn't make sense for us humans. One is a firearm that literally has crystals sticking out of the weapon, and the other is pure plasma, which could burn one's arm off if you're not careful. But that's what made them so recognizable. We don't understand them, so it's not like we can put a scope on them. Although, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. What if we could customize Covenant weapons? Greetings, Vernissage here. This video is sort of a sequel to my video where I customized some of Infinite's UNSC weapons. So if you haven't seen that yet, I highly recommend it. So, why am I doing this? Wasn't the UNSC weapons enough? Does the Covenant also have to have the Call of Duty treatment? Well, this is definitely not thought of as something for regular arena multiplayer. This is more for something like a BR style mode, or a gigantic B2B. So think of it as something a bit silly, a not so serious experiment. I'll be showing a few different possible builds for 4 different Covenant weapons. Now, without further ado, let's begin. The plasma rifle is a very common weapon seen in the Covenant, mostly being wielded by the elites. While not being the most accurate, the weapon still does impressive damage, while at the same time being very lightweight. But let's say you are willing to sacrifice some of that mobility and control for better range and an increase in fire rate. Then here's the repeater build. The fin of the plasma rifle is replaced with a T-51 stock, which completely overhauls the weapon, giving it a higher fire rate while bringing down the damage just a bit. To improve the range of the plasma rifle, the upper and lower barrel is extended, which also brings down mobility and control. What we're seeing here is obviously a plasma repeater / rifle combo. This setup is best suited for those who are fine with moving a bit slow, in order to deal a ton of damage up close and even at range. But what if you want to be quick and agile, in a brutal way? This is the Brute build. To deal the maximum amount of damage up close, both the upper muzzle and the lower barrel have been replaced with bayonets. This, however, comes at the cost of the rate of fire. In fact, since it removes one of the barrels, it now fires half of the initial fire rate. Finally, to increase the handling of the weapon even more, it utilizes a wrapped grip. While we've seen a Brute plasma rifle before, I never felt it was brutish enough. Although, to honor the previous design, I did give it a red weapon coating. Let's see if we can keep the speed of the previous build, while not sacrificing as much. This is the exposed build. Instead of removing any barrels, it now just strips them down, cutting off the lower one and opening up the upper barrel. It also removes the fin for further mobility and control, but this does bring down the accuracy of the weapon. To combat this, a Covenant laser is placed on the lower muzzle to tighten up the bullet spread. And to top it off, a Gruntoid charm is placed on the weapon. These builds show all kinds of possibilities for the plasma rifle. The fact that you can overhaul the fire rate, the damage, and the mobility makes the plasma rifle one of the most customizable weapons in the Covenant arsenal. the Carbine is a fairly unique weapon, seeing as it's one of the few Covenant weapons that fire actual projectiles. Due to this feature, the Carbine has some great range, as well as damage. The weapon is, however, semi-automatic, so the rate of fire is on the lower side. What if that doesn't bother you, and you want it to be even more of a long-range weapon? This is the classic build. To increase range, the standard barrel is replaced with a vented barrel, allowing the projectiles to be fired at a higher velocity. To balance this, however, the rate of fire and accuracy are decreased. To bring the accuracy back to something more acceptable, the heavy stock is equipped, which even makes it more accurate than it already was. This, along with the familiar reddish-purple coating, gives the Carbine its classic look from Halo 2 and 3, something for the old schools. Speaking of old school, maybe you're feeling a bit nostalgic for the destruction of Reach and headshotting some blue Spartans. Then here's the Needle build. Instead of the standard projectiles, this build utilizes blamite crystals as its ammunition. While not doing as much damage initially, these needles will super combine and explode, making this one of the most powerful setups for the Carbine. To not make this too powerful, the rate of fire is decreased with the blamite ammunition. To improve the accuracy of the weapon, the T31 barrel replaces the standard barrel, slightly hurting your handling. This is clearly a needle rifle and carbine combo, similar to the Blood of Saban from Halo 5. However, I thought it would make it much more obvious with the actual needles sticking up. So, Covenant attachments are cool and all, but what if the UNSC got their hands on a Carbine? This is the UNSC build. To get the maximum amount of accuracy, a foregrip and a cheek pad has somehow been attached to the Carbine. And to get those long-range shots, the BR55 scope is placed on top of the magazine slot. And to finish it off, a UNSC coating and a Master Chief helmet charm is included. This type of fusion weapon is something we haven't seen in the games, but something I'd be really interested in. The Carbine, while not having the biggest range of different setups, still surprises you with its out there features such as needler ammunition and human attachments. When talking about Covenant weaponry, the first thing that usually comes to mind is the energy sword. Not only because of its striking design, but because of how incredibly powerful of a weapon it is. Being a melee weapon, it's useless past a certain range, but up close, this sword can one-hit pretty much everything. Let's say you want to increase the range of it, then here's the Silent Shadow build. Both the lower and upper blade is replaced with a terrifying Blood blade, which increases the range of the energy sword while bringing down the swing rate. To make this threatening build even more fear-inducing, a speed boost enhancement is included, giving the user faster movement speed. Perfect for assassins that are quick on their feet. And for those that like to slay their enemies in style, there's the Reaper build. What's special about this build is the dual wield enhancement. This allows the user to have 2 energy swords, doubling the fire rate. Although this, along with the storm handle, does quite drastically bring down your mobility and control. To make it more usable, the Marame handguard is included, to bring the control back up a bit. And finally, to improve the movement speed as well as the fire rate, the much more mobile thin blades are equipped. This is more or less the energy swords we saw Reaper Marame use in the first Halo Wars game. Terrifying, yet elegant. Maybe you want to honor tradition and don't mind a literal downgrade. Then here's the curved blade build. The usage of the curved handle prevents the sword from having two blades, but does increase the fire rate and your mobility. Although, that doesn't matter, since instead of plasma, this build uses a curved blade, a traditional Sanghelian metal blade, which is obviously heavier than plasma. Not only that, the curved blade reduces the damage, the control, and even range. So one could ask, why use this build? And that would be a fair question. The energy sword, while giving us a limited amount of attachment slots, still gave us three very different builds, ranging from a Silent Shadow style sword to an ancient piece of alien weaponry. The final weapon we'll be taking a look at today is the Needler. While not being exceptional at range, its tracking capabilities and impressive fire rate makes it one of the most powerful weapons in the arsenal. Let's say you don't need the tracking, and instead, you opt for even better fire rate. This is the Brute build. The smoldering Blamite might not track, nor is it as deadly as the regular needles, but its fire rate is most impressive. Removing the stock and shortening the barrel allows the user to move more swiftly, while slightly bringing down the accuracy. And if you want to deal some damage up close, a muzzle bayonet should do the trick. This build is no doubt inspired by the Shredder from SPV3. I just love how those orange needles contrast to the deep, brutish red. If you're feeling a bit nostalgic, then try the CE build. The polished Blamite gives this Needler setup higher damage, while slowing down its fire rate. The grip guard and the tilted stock gives it better accuracy, and the heavy muzzle increases its effective range. This build resembles the classic Needler, a bit more beefy and straightforward. And for the last setup, let's do something simple, but still out there. This is the extended build. This setup uses only one attachment, the extended Blamite. This gives the Needler way more ammo to work with, while bringing down its mobility. And to give it some style, a Needler ammunition crystal is added to the side of the gun. While it may not seem like the Needler allows for much customization, these builds shows different types of ammunition, stocks, and muzzles. Then again, the Needler is already perfect. And there we have it. That's all of the different weapon builds I made for this video. Some fairly interesting, and some a bit too out there. But that's the point of these. I want to see what our favorite weapons look like when we Frankenstein them. Again, not for arena multiplayer. Maybe not for anything at all. But someday, I do hope we see something like this, somewhere in Halo. Let me know what you think. And before I go, a small apology of sorts. I'm sorry about the lack of content recently. While life's been very busy, I also think I hit my first writer's block. I guess I just didn't really believe in this video, while I was already in the middle of making it. But I finished it, and I think I should be back on track, especially with the Xbox showcase right around the corner. So again, June 13th, 9 AM Pacific time, live stream, here on YouTube, on this channel, be there. If you like this video, give it a like. If not, a dislike. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I wish you all the best, and take care. Vernisage